Fischl is probably the strongest and most versatile archer character in Genshin Impact right now. She can act as both your main DPS, your secondary DPS, and as a support. And she should be considered S tier in every single category because yeah, she's that good. One copy of Fischl will be available for free in the upcoming 1.1 events, which means that most players will finally be able to experience her awesomeness. And for those who already have her, the possibility to unlock her first constellation is going to be incredibly powerful. In this guide, I will explain in detail how to turn Oz, the bird that Fischl can summon, into a literal god of thunder, in order to assist your carries and eliminate most enemies with ease. He not only scales very well, but with the proper gear, your Oz is going to be on the field at a very high uptime, and he will hit almost as hard as your carries, which will make your burst damage completely nuts. I will also talk about how to make Fischl your number one main DPS carry by focusing on physical damage and her normal attacks, which can also be insanely deadly with the correct weapon and gear. I believe Fischl supports best by focusing on high damage stats, which will translate into a monstrous Oz that hits like a truck. Elemental Mastery and Energy Recharge builds can also work, but from what I have seen, it results in a much weaker support. With this build, you focus on activating Oz and then switching to your carry and let Oz support them. Once Oz has expired and your ult is up, you go back on Fischl, activate the ult and deal instant burst damage, then switch back to your carry with Oz out on the field again. You should not be auto-attacking too much with this build, but in cases where you need an archer, when kiting or trying to survive for example, your normal attack damage will still be incredibly powerful and can be used for great effect. Oz can be summoned by pressing the elemental skill ability. If you hold it, you can then decide where it will be placed exactly, and when he lands, he will do a huge AoE burst electro damage, and then will continually attack the nearest enemy with electro damage. Oz lasts for 10 seconds and has 25 seconds of cooldown. Fischl's ult will turn herself into Oz and will move around very quickly, striking every enemy that it crosses by once for a huge amount of burst damage. This ability is very important because it will also reset Oz's cooldown on the field, so it is very important that you only use this once Oz is just expiring so that you can have him on the field for an extra 10 seconds. Since Oz's cooldown is 25 seconds, you can have him up for 20 seconds by activating his E, waiting 10 seconds, and then activating his ult, which will make him up for 10 more seconds, which is going to be about 20 seconds out of the 25 seconds of cooldown that Oz has. Fischl's ult has 15 seconds of cooldown and 60 energy cost, which means that it will be up very often and it will be very useful to keep triggering Oz and keep him on the field all the time. All of Oz's damage scales off Fischl's attack statistic, which can then be enhanced exponentially by the electro damage stat as well as critical hit chance and damage. This is why the order of priority for her is as follows: electro damage first, critical damage and critical chance second, and attack third. Note that it is important that you keep a 2-to-1 ratio of critical damage to critical hit chance, which means that for every point of crit chance that you have, you would like 2 points of crit damage for optimal damage. At Ascension level 4, Fischl unlocks the Lightning Smite talent, which is one of the most insane talents in the game. When Oz is on the field, any enemies hit by an electro-related elemental reaction, such as Overload or Electrocharge for example, will also be hit for an additional attack that deals 80% of Fischl's attack. This also is electro damage, which can then cause more electro-related reaction. Fischl's other talent will also make it so that you can charge an aim shot at Oz, and when you hit him with the fully charged aim shot, you will trigger a big amount of burst damage. It is very good if you are able to pull it off, but because it takes quite a few seconds to charge and sometimes there will be mobs between you and Oz, it might be quite hard to land this efficiently, and this is why this is not used that often by most players. As far as Constellations goes, her first constellation is probably her best constellation for a main DPS physical damage Fischl. It makes it so that when Oz is not on the field, he will join Fischl in firing with her bow and deal 22% of her attack damage on top of every hit that she causes. Now this is not electro damage, so this is normal damage, and it is why it is so good with you have a physical damage build. Her fourth constellation is probably one of her best. It will make it so that when you use your ult, you will do an extra 222% damage as electro to all surrounding enemies, and when this ult ends, Fischl will also heal for 20% of her HP. Her last and 6th constellation is probably the most godly constellation in the game. First of all, it makes Oz last for 2 seconds longer, which means that with the E and the ult timed properly, it can give Oz an uptime of 24 seconds while having a cooldown of 25 seconds, which is amazing, and also makes Oz do additional attacks with whatever character is out on the field, causing even more electro damage, scaling off of Fischl's stat. This will turn any DPS attacking with Oz out on the field into a complete god and allow for crazy amounts of electro ability combos and burst damage. As far as weapons are concerned, Skyward Harp is probably the best bow in the game for Fischl by far. Once you get high level enough, your main stats become very high and critical rate and critical damage become exponentially better than any other stat and cause insane amount of damage. Now, this bow offers both crit rate and 20% crit damage in its passive, and also gives a 60% chance to inflict extra AoE damage, which deal 125% of her attack damage as physical. This is incredibly powerful. It causes so much damage and really works well with the crit electro build that we have right now. In second place is Amos' bow, which provides insanely high attack stat as well as increases the damage of normal attacks by 12%. Now, this works very well because most of her scaling is based off of her attack, of course, and will also work very well for physical damage build because it will increase your normal attack damage just generally by 12% on top of giving you huge stats. Other options that are also very good for Fischl would be the Viridescent Hunt, which is found in the Battle Pass, because it gives very high crit rate as well as have a pretty good passive here that will also cause more damage in general. Now, the bow also available in the Starglider Exchange will provide crit damage, which is also another extremely good stat, and will provide a passive that will increase your attack at times, which is also pretty good. Now, because crit and crit damage are one of the most beneficial stats for Fischl, any of these weapons that you can get your hands on, depending on your luck and your budget, will be a great option after the 5-star weapons. For free-to-play players or people who did not get any luck in the gacha, Prototype Crescent will be the other option for 4-star. It is craftable and it provides attack as a substat, which scales very well with Fischl, as we said before. Now, if you're building your Fischl as a main DPS with physical damage, Rustbow is by far the best option. It provides physical damage bonus as well as an insanely powerful passive that boosts your normal attack like crazy, but it is only available through the gacha, so if you do not have access to the Rustbow, the other option would be Compound Bow, which provides similar stats, but also is craftable and can be refined easily, so it is a very good option as well. The last option I would suggest would be the Stringless. Now, this weapon provides Elemental Mastery and increases the elemental skill and burst damage by a certain percentage depending on your refinement level. Now, Elemental Mastery is not always the best stat for Fischl because Oz is not usually the triggerer of elemental combinations because he attacks so fast, and usually he will put the electricity effect on the enemy and someone else will trigger that with their own element, but this will increase the damage that Oz does when he's summoned as well as the damage of Fischl's ult, so it is also pretty good and can be an option that works well. As far as artifacts are concerned, for this build, the best option would be 2-piece Thundering Fury for the electro damage boost of 15%, as well as 2-piece Gladiator's Finale for 18% attack. Now, these two stats are two of the most important stats that you can give Fischl, and these are the only 2 5-star set that can give these stats, so it is probably the best case scenario for Fischl. A full set of Martial Artist, as well as Gambler and Berserker, can also work if used together in parts or fully in the earlier stages of the game, but because these items do not have 5-star versions, they get outclassed in the late game, but are going to be very good nonetheless for a long time. Otherwise, for main DPS Fischl with physical damage build, your best options will be 2-piece Bloodstained Chivalry for the 25% physical damage bonus, as well as either 2-piece Gladiator for 18% attack, or 2-piece Martial Artist for 15% extra damage on your normal attacks, which would provide her with insanely powerful normal attacks and extra powerful physical damage. Now, as far as team comps go, due to the nature of Oz being out in the field for a long time assisting other characters, Fischl is probably one of the most valuable support DPS in the game. She will enable tons of electro-related elemental combos, as Oz is going to be constantly activating electricity on enemies he attacks, even when Fischl is not in the field. There is almost no character in this game that doesn't pair well with Fischl, and she can fit in literally every single team. Being an archer that still does incredible damage with normal attack, she can be very useful to kite mobs and survive while ability recharge, as well as kill certain immune mobs with her physical damage. If you're going for a main DPS physical damage build, it is important to include an ice character with her in the party in order to trigger superconduct, which will reduce the enemy physical resistance and make her hit even harder. She is also a great candidate to create electricity resonance for carries such as Keqing, Beidou, and Razor by making it so that high voltage will be activated and will make it so that you generate tons of electro-elemental particles when you are fighting with them. Her electricity damage also counters the water shields from Fatui agents in the Abyss and does very well against Fire Shield, so she is a very great tool to have around with you. I hope you guys enjoyed this guide. Fischl is of course one of the most versatile characters in Genshin Impact and can be played in many other different ways, but this is mostly the result of my own experience and testing, which seems to yield the best results so far. Feel free to let me know about your own experience and how you build your Fischl in the comment, as I'm always happy to learn more about this character. As always, there's over 60 different Genshin Impact video guides on our channel and over 20 different character guides. We also live stream every single day, so make sure to subscribe if you like this content, as there is a lot more exciting videos coming out in the future. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you on the next video.